Hey everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Saturday. We have made it to the weekend and we've got another prediction video here. And this one is going to be about the linebackers, of which we only really have a few guys to look at, but this is a position the Seahawks have invested a little bit of their resources into and have done so very well in my estimation. They have two guys they have voluntarily chosen to give second contracts to now, and both guys, in my estimation, are pretty underpaid given the level of play that they provide. So, we're going to be talking about the off-ball linebackers, Ernest Jones, Drake Thomas, Tyrese Knight, and Pat O'Connell. Those are the four guys we're going to be focusing on in this video. And let's go ahead and get into it. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. Going to start with Ernest Jones. Coming off the All-Pro year, coming off the year where he established himself as one of the best linebackers in football. I don't know if everything about the season that he had is sustainable, but I do think that he will continue to be one of the best players in the league. And as much as he may not be a brilliant cover linebacker in the way that a guy like a Luke Kuechly was, his ball skills and his hands go a long way. And I think those things are sustainable, even if the number of interceptions he had last year may not be. So expect more big things from Ernest Jones. I went with went with 121 tackles. I don't think he's going to be among the league leaders in tackles because usually the league leader in tackles is on a pretty bad team because those are the players that have more opportunities to get tackles because they're on bad teams that are always on defense and usually have the other team running the ball on them. That's not the case for Ernest. So he'll get a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be some massive amount because that's not the kind of team that we have. Tackles for loss, also not going too bold here, just 5. Again, when it comes to Ernest Jones in particular, this team doesn't seem all that interested in letting him get into the backfield a lot. Even when it comes to rushing the quarterback, they really have not leaned on that part of his game all that much. They've been content to allow him to make plays at or near the line of scrimmage and not have him shooting gaps. And I don't think that'll change because how well it worked in 2025. We had the best run defense in football. We had the best defense in football, period. I don't think you change the way you do things. Also went with a sack and a half. It is worth noting that Ernest Jones is a very talented blitzer, but for one reason or another, this team just hasn't seen it fit to blitz him that much. Pressures, I went with a 6. There will be some, of course. This is a Mike McDonald defense. We don't have great edge rushers, so there is going to be a desire to blitz every now and then. And there are going to be games against younger, less experienced, or just generally less capable quarterbacks where you're going to want to send the house a little bit, and Jones is going to get involved there. Now, the passing stuff, passing yards allowed and QB rating allowed, that's where things get a little bit tough because Ernest Jones was brilliant in this area last year, but he doesn't have the reputation of being an amazing cover player. He doesn't have the reputation of being tremendously skilled in that area, but what I saw last year was a guy who really understands zone drops and landmarks and where to be, even if he is not an individually stellar mover for coverage stuff. So 461 yards, there will be some stuff. But QB rating, I went with 65, and I might be eating the rotten cheese a little bit there, but I think he's going to continue to take the ball away a lot, and he's proven that he can be disciplined in zone, and that is mostly what we play. We're not going to ask him to do a lot of man coverage stuff, so why not? If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. PrizePicks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. PrizePicks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on PrizePicks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. And for the record, I do think Ernest Jones will make the Pro Bowl and be an All-Pro. Probably not first-team All-Pro, but he will be an All-Pro. I think he's gotten to the point now where his reputation kind of precedes him, and combined with how good this defense will be, he'll get the accolades even if he doesn't have the best numbers. And I do think his numbers will be good because I do see, 4 or so interceptions in his future, but I understand that there are going to be linebackers out there with more tackles, more sacks, etc. But I think we're in a good place with the Ernest Jones, and he's really found his groove. All right, so that's the main guy, but Drake Thomas is going to be playing a lot of football for us this year. Let's get into that. So Drake Thomas, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the starter, and I think he's going to play most of the games this season. He'll probably get dinged up at some point if we're being realistic. Maybe it'll be like in the NFC title game when he missed the final drive defensively, or the long final drive, and Tyrese Knight went in there. It's going to be stuff like that, but I think I think Thomas is going to play a lot, and I think he proved that he is a good all-around player last year. Not a perfect all-around player, but somebody that can do the things that we need him to do at a competent level, and that's what this defense is all about. We don't need guys that are elite in one area and bad in another. We need guys that are good in all areas. So I went with 100 tackles. I think he breaks triple digits this year. He almost did last year, and he didn't start in 3 of those games. So I think that he's probably going to push up a little bit this year on that. Tackles for loss. We do seem to use him as a gap shooter and blitzer more often than we do Ernest Jones. So I went with a 9 tackles for loss. Seems to be something that we're comfortable utilizing him as. And then I went with 4 sacks because last year he was blitzed quite a bit, and he blitzed successfully. Had a handful of sacks last year. I think he continues to advance in that area. And I also went with 9 pressures. It is surprising because Ernest Jones, remember, he established himself as a great blitzer in LA. And ever since he got here, I kind of kept waiting for this team to start utilizing him as a blitzer. Hasn't happened. And at this point, I feel like we might actually just view Thomas as being the better option to blitz. Now, as a cover guy, it's not going to be as good as Jones because Jones has the zone awareness and ball skills that Thomas doesn't have, but I don't think Thomas is going to be some big liability in coverage either. Went with 422 yards and a QB rating allowed of 84. So perfectly acceptable, no problem. Maybe he'll make a pick or two, but it's not going to be locked down stuff. I don't think he's that kind of guy, but he's good enough to not be a liability in that area. And again, that's all this defense really needs. Okay, then we have Tyrese Knight, who's going to play some on defense this year. Garbage time, when players get hurt, he kind of backs up both linebacker spots. And he's also a little bit of a special teams guy as well. He does good work for us on special teams, and that will probably continue this year. So I went with the 31 tackles, nothing excessive. You're again, between garbage time and the couple of games he actually gets to play meaningful snaps in for one reason or another. And I mean, between Ernest Jones being a little bit of an injury red flag from previous years and Drake Thomas not being like an entrenched 17-game guy yet, Knight will get to play a little bit defensively. And I went with 4 tackles for loss because it does seem like this last year, and I know it was a small sample size, this team really got into sending him on the blitz, and it works well. So I think you're going to see some splash plays, some backfield stuff from Tyrese Knight. I went with 1 sack as well. And I went with a couple of pressures because, again, it seems like this team likes to let Knight gamble a little bit more than they let Ernest Jones gamble. And it pays off. It pays off a pretty decent amount. And especially when he's allowed to get in at the end of games when offenses tend to be a little bit more defined, like you kind of know what's coming, I think you'll unleash him a little bit. Passing yards allowed, I went with 112, nothing crazy, but coverage doesn't seem to be his strong suit. Didn't do well in coverage last year. 93 QB rating allowed, so it's not going to be a train wreck. It was kind of a train wreck last year when he was starting, but it'll be it won't be a problem. I would put it to you that way. I don't view this as a problem, but you are going to have to deal with some of it. So Pat O'Connell, just to quickly put him out there, I had 6 tackles, 5 passing yards allowed. Just going to play garbage time a little bit here and there. If a bunch of really bad stuff happens to our linebackers this year to where Pat O'Connell is actually a starter, I imagine we're probably going to acquire somebody from outside the organization, because I don't think O'Connell is really an NFL caliber linebacker for a team that's trying to win games. So he'll play garbage time a little bit, and that's about it. And that gets your totals up to 258 tackles, 18 for loss, 6.5 sacks, 17 pressures, and exactly 1,000 passing yards allowed. So no big problems here. In 17 games, 1,000 yards from your linebackers. I mean, there have been years where we've gotten about that much allowed from one player in our linebacker core. So overall, if this is the way things end up going for this team, I'm pretty happy with that. And I think that we'll have one of the better linebacker cores in football. I don't know if it'll be the best, but Ernest Jones, I think, will be a very decorated player, and Drake Thomas will be kind of an unsung hero. Not going to make the Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he's going to be a very good player and somebody that is helping us win, a net positive. All right, I'm going to go and get on out of here. That is my linebacker predictions. We're getting closer to the end here. We are going to do a few extra videos at the end, of course, but that is what I have for linebackers. Let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks. I'm going to get on out of here. And more stuff coming soon.